Yo, yo, hip hop heist, man. What up? We back at it with another reaction. Jay-Z and Pusha T in the Epstein files. What is really going on here, man? Shout out to Professor Lex Hip Hop Examination for this article that we about to react to, man. This is Hip Hop Heist TV. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. If you want to help out the channel a little more, go cop that sticker. It's right beneath the channel. $5.55 on the channel store tab as well, on our YouTube page. So yeah, man, if you want to help out extra, we really appreciate you. Also, if you could hit that subscribe button, and we're gonna start right now. Let's get to it, man.
Was very interesting. Something that launched yesterday evening, afternoon, sort of. The Federal Bureau of Investigation released upwards of 3.5 million files from the Epstein investigation. Now, if you're not familiar with the Epstein investigation, sorry, but you should be by this point. I can't mention his name too many times, so I won't be doing that, especially his full name. I don't want the video to get flagged or anything like that. So this is what we're going to be talking about, all right? When I say the investigation, I'm referring to the Epstein investigation. And when I say the files, I'm referring to the Epstein files. Let's make that clear. I'm not going to keep repeating his name. All right, so I'll read this first unclassified document now. A little background on what type of document this is, because it's very important to understand where the names of both Pusha T and Jay-Z appear. Now, their names appear on what is called an FBI Crisis Intake Report. Okay, it refers to the documentation, analysis, and processing of urgent information regarding potential threats to life, national security situations, or serious crimes primarily handled by the FBI National Threat Operations Center. This process serves as a central intake point for information submitted by the public via phone, web forms, e-tips, or email, which is then documented in the threat.
That's kind of nuts, because you can actually. That means that anybody could call and create and say anything, really. I'm not going to say anything is false or whatever. I don't know. I don't know all the ins and outs of these stories, but what I'm saying is anybody can make a report. You can call and make a report. So let's keep going.
Intake processing system known as TIPS for evaluation and investigation. So basically, it's the FBI's tip phone line, and also, of course, through email, right? So this is how you report tips of crimes to the FBI. Now, some of the details of this crisis intake report. The core components of the FBI crisis intake tips, right? The purpose is to receive, prioritize, and process actionable information 24/7 to assist FBI field officers in ensuring public safety. Input types. The system accepts e-tips, electronic submissions, and telephone calls, including reports on threats to life, active shooters, bomb threats, and cyber threats. Now, the process. The threat intake examiners, supervised by special agents, evaluate tips using probing questions to determine the urgency and validity of the information. Action. If information is deemed actionable, this is very important, or a threat to life, it is rapidly disseminated to the appropriate FBI field office or law enforcement partner. Documentation. Data is maintained in the TIP system, which is subject to privacy impact assessments due to the sensitive nature of the information. Now, the reason I said the action part is important because it does not appear that any action was taken upon these files that I'm about to present that include Pusha T and Jay-Z's name. We're going to walk this down slowly. This might be a long video. So on the screen now is page 1 of this tips report. Now, again, this is just a tip that they received from a redacted, so quote-unquote, victim or a witness, right? The names are redacted, the details are redacted, so we don't know exactly who is making the claims or the initial report But they, of course, they did investigate the report, right? And that will be obvious as I read through this, right? So I'll start at the second line. In approximately 1994, all this is redacted. We'll just say those are the details of the victim as a past victim of SA abuse by Mr. Steen, right? Described the abuse occurred during parties and further identified another redacted person as a friend of another redacted person, right? Those are more than likely civilians whose names have been cleared of quote unquote criminal activity, right? Again, all this is alleged. Okay, so let's continue. In approximately 1996, redacted resided with redacted in some location, right? An unknown man abducted the victim from her home when she later awoke in the presence of Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, while Weinstein had inserted his fingers into the victim. The victim believed she was in Epstein's mansion in Florida. All right, these are the details. The victim estimated she was abducted on 7 occasions, awaking each time in an opulent indoor setting. The victim suffered from SA abuse on multiple of those occasions in which Epstein participated. The victim recalled Leon Black and William Barr, current United States Attorney General, being present during some of the occasions of abuse in approximately 2006.
What the fuck?
Victim last recalled being abused by Mr. Steen. Now, this is the second page where Pusha T is mentioned. On each occasion, the victim believed she was drug clouding her memory. Victim attributed the drugging as frequently performed by persons assigned as handlers, whom she described as persons who established friendships with the victims. Among her handlers, victim identified the artist Pusha T. Now, this is in 2006. Now, in approximately 2007, victim attended a party following invitation from an unknown man who approached her as she walked down a street. Weinstein and Pusha T also attended the party and drugged her before engaging in SA abuse, right? So I'm guessing this is victim again, claimed to have additional information of other persons involved in the enterprise and information related to racketeering conducted in support of the trafficking. Wow. Victim further believed she was under surveillance and stalked at the direction of the people involved in the abuse. Victim confirmed she was not diagnosed with any mental illness, also refused to provide her physical address, advising that she maintained no permanent address, rather she moved between staying at different hotels. So she was basically saying she was on the run as well. Now, there is a lot of conspiratorial information here, right? Here's what I want to give some background. Okay, first things first. Jay-Z's name in the past has been mentioned and tied to situations with underage females. Now, I did a video on this when he was sued in a civil lawsuit. What was that? That was last year, I believe.
Yeah.
By a young lady, which the lawsuit was thrown out, right? Or she dropped the lawsuit once he fought back against the lawsuit, right? The Foxy Brown situation. Again, Foxy Brown maintains that there was never any kind of shenanigans between her and Jay-Z, and she was not underage. Maybe when they recorded, but not when it was released and they were seen working together and in the video and all that. She was not underage. That is not true, right? Aaliyah.
See, that's crazy because when you watch other videos, or when the whole thing is that Foxy was, but people don't understand at that time she wasn't. When she might have recorded it, when you record the record, it's not the same time you shoot the music video. Time goes on. I mean, there's a lot of time in between recording and shooting a music video. You get what I'm saying? So,
of age when they were allegedly dating. Again, she was not underage. That is not true. The R. Kelly collab is questionable, granted, for sure. This era, the Blueprint 3 era of Jay-Z and the art and artwork that he put forward and some of the relationships he forged once he was going into the quote-unquote art world, were questionable at best. I believe this is the biggest mistake of his career, engaging in this form of artistic expression with these people that I'm guessing he didn't know a lot about, right? So I'm giving him plausible deniability and all of that. But
All right, man. Let's you know what that means? We're gonna bypass the ad. Oh, nice. Check out Professor Lex's merch. Y'all go cop one of these. He got the Not Like Us record. He got Hip Hop First. Hip Hop Purist. Excuse me. That's tight. Yeah, go support Professor Lex. But let's get to a comment, man. You know we bypassed those ads. Champ One Up said this is so left field. We gonna call the dude E. E was a known racist. La Hagen said they aren't on the list. In 2019, someone called the FBI hotline and made those claims. The FBI is obligated to take those claims and investigate them. They did, and they found no evidence to support the claims. It is now 2026, and still no evidence has been provided to substantiate those claims. That's a good point. Mel Penn says, for the people that think this is going to be Drake's comeback, Drake still does not have a leg to stand on because there's so much information about his activities as well. It would be best for that he keep his mouth shut. Okay, she's firing back. Like, don't even think about it, Drake. Drizzy. But yeah, let's keep going, man. Shout out Professor Lex. Go follow him. Yeah, hit that like and subscribe. Let's go.
putting him in this situation and in these files can be very damaging and damning to his persona, career. It gives a lot of people who hate Jay-Z a lot of fuel. If you watch this channel, I'm not the biggest Jay-Z fan, but like I said in a pretty recent video, it's more his fans I don't like than it is Jay-Z himself. Now, him being a businessman, him being greedy, he's a human being. I don't really care about that. I don't look for entertainers to be leaders. Now, but here's the situation. Here's the problem I have with how he's mentioned in these files. First of all, in 1996, Jay-Z was, for lack of a better term, nobody. Okay? He was a MC trying to be on the come up who had been around for quite a while at that time. And just
at 96, I believe that's when Reasonable Doubt came out, right? Or was it 90? Anyway, he wasn't Jay-Z, right? He wasn't the Jay-Z mogul that we know today. So it's kind of weird that he would be around Harvey, you know, Harv, call him Harv. That he would be around Harv, right? But I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think he wasn't the mogul that he is today. You get what I'm saying? So why would he be around that guy? You feel me? But doesn't mean it can't happen. You know what I mean? It's just after so much time, you think some kind of evidence would be proved, or you know, something would be charged, but it doesn't look like it is, and that's what the people are having a hard time. You know, that's crazy. It's crazy stuff.
he was willing to invest in him. If you know Jay-Z's story, he just wasn't hot at the time, right?
Right.
He doesn't get any kind of popularity until 97, really, and really not until like 99. Okay, the first album, a lot of people overrate Reasonable Doubt, and this is where doing things like that can come back to bite you. Okay, I was very much alive, very much into hip hop in 1996, very much of age, and believe me when I tell you, nobody was checking for Reasonable Doubt back then. Okay, Ain't No was a decent record. Can't Knock the Hustle, Cause Mary was on the hook, was a decent record. Jay-Z was not at the top of anybody's charts or anything like that with Reasonable Doubt. Okay, it became a classic 10 years after it was released. It was not a classic at the time. Anybody who tells you that is lying and tripping a little bit, right? But see, this puts Jay-Z, because of that revisionist history, now people can try to put him of the status that he would be in a room with Harvey Weinstein. Just not the case at all.
Exactly.
Okay? He was just trying to get started. They had to fund Reasonable Doubt by themselves because no one would fund it. He couldn't get a record company that believed in the album. All right? This is where ego can get you trapped up and people can use it against you. Because now they're trying to make you seem like you were bigger than you were in 1996.
Wow.
By putting you in a room and a part of this cabal, alleged cabal, with Harvey Weinstein and others. Let's continue. Now, Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein did have a business relationship. That relationship didn't develop until 2017. All right? Now, here we see on the screen, Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein co-produced the 2017 six-part documentary series, The Time, The Khalif Browder Story, for Spike TV. The series focused on the tragic story of a teenager who spent 3 years on Rikers Island without trial. This partnership was part of a broader production deal between Jay-Z and the Weinstein Company. Now, if you don't know, Harvey Weinstein would be outed as an essay abuser, a serial essay abuser of many years, shortly after this. And that's probably why he went to rappers and started investing in the projects that they wanted to put out. We're going to talk about this much more in the Industry Plan series. I am not going to release the first part. I have to do some editing now that this news has broken, because it's going to make some of the things I point out in there is going to make this situation more valid than I think it is. I'll just put it that way. But let's continue. So the details of Jay-Z and Weinstein's partnership. Jay-Z signed a 2-year film and television first look production deal with the Weinstein Company in September of 2016. Here are the key details regarding their partnership, right? The deal. The agreement was an exclusive 2-year overall deal for Jay-Z to produce both scripted and unscripted television projects.
So, wow, yeah, at 1996, I don't even think they knew each other, bro. You know, allegedly. This is in 2017, so it's saying that they met in 2000. You know, they reached a deal in 2017, right, for this documentary and what have you. 1996. What's that? 21 years. Interesting. Let's keep going though. Hit that like and subscribe.
Film projects. The key projects through this deal was Jay-Z and the Weinstein Company collaborated on the Khalif Browder Story. They were also working on a documentary series about Trayvon Martin, Rest in Power, The Enduring Life of Trayvon Martin. Controversy and lawsuit. Following the essay allegations against Harvey Weinstein in October of 2017, it was initially reported that Jay-Z was interested in buying Weinstein's stake in the company. However, by May of 2018, Jay-Z and his company Roc Nation filed a lawsuit against the Weinstein Company for failing to pay required fees for the Khalif Browder and Trayvon Martin projects. Relationship. Despite the professional partnership to produce content, the deal was finalized before the allegations against Harvey Weinstein were made public, and the projects were eventually produced amidst the company's downfall and bankruptcy. All right? More on this. Jay-Z and Eminem claim Weinstein Company owes them more than $800,000 in court filings. The rappers claim they were underpaid for projects including the Jake Gyllenhaal movie Southpaw, which was going to be produced by Eminem, and the forthcoming Trayvon TV documentary, which I already mentioned, right? And understand, all of this information and the articles that this information comes from articles that were published in 2017 and 2018. This is not revisionist history. Okay, this is stuff that was happening at the time. So there is no clear indication of Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein having any kind of relationship before this time period. And like I said before, it is important to note that people who operate in power and behind the scenes, if Harvey Weinstein knew that something was coming, okay, getting investment in partnerships with rappers who are left-leaning on the...
All right, man. You know what that means. We're going to bypass an ad and get straight to the comments. Dianor says, it was proven to be in regards to Pusha T. He wasn't involved, nor was he implicated to be part of anything Jeffrey did. Blue X says, Denise Lewis says, Pusha and Jay-Z, I'm not going to give y'all too satisfaction of a response. All right, man. So comments are a little divided. But yeah, let's keep going. Hit that like and subscribe, man. Shout out Professor Lex, man. Go subscribe to bro.
Quote unquote, so to speak, would be a thing he would do. I'll just put it that way, right? You have to think in these situations. I know people want to believe in the super conspiracies of all celebrities are evil. All celebrities are regular people, including Weinstein, Mr. Steen, the presidents, the Congress people. They're all humans. They're on this planet with us. But let me get off my diatribe. Let me continue with the information. Now, the Pusha T page starts with the young lady being drugged, right, and clouding her memory. Now, Pusha T is known for rapping about what, right? We have to understand something. And I'm not putting any allegations on anybody, whether it be Pusha T and Jay-Z or the federal people who produce these files. But these files are a little too clean for me, all right? They're a little too on the nose for public scrutiny for me. I'm going to say that much about it. Okay, people who are not very intelligent, who have a lot of or some information of rumors and loosely know about these people involved, meaning Jay-Z and Pusha T, would put this kind of story together. I'm not saying anybody did any of that, but that could be a possibility in my eyes. That's what it reads like to me at this point in time. Maybe more information will come forward. We'll see about that. But now let's continue to a side note. First, we have Kanye West and lyrics from World War III, WW3. Now, nobody listened to these records because they're full of complete and utter nonsense. But here's a line that some of the people who are condemning Pusha T and Jay-Z, we know what side those. Shout out to the OV hoes, okay? But this is what they're clinging to. Kanye rapped, know some ninjas that went to that island. Why the F would you go to that island? Now, people are saying, see, Kanye's talking about Pusha T and Jay-Z. Why couldn't he be talking about young DT45? If you know, you know. Why couldn't he be talking about that person? That's who he's closer with right now. He could be talking about that person. He could be talking about a myriad of people, right, that went to that island, that are in pictures on that island, that had... Never mind. I'm not... Let me stop myself, right? Another issue that makes this seem just a little fishy. Enter one Miss Nicki Minaj. Funny how this comes out. Jay-Z ends up in the Epstein files when Nicki Minaj turns MAGA. Very interesting, right? Let's go through a little bit of history of Nicki Minaj and Jay-Z. If you know, most of us know this, but let's just tighten it up a little bit. Okay, the recent public conflict or beef between Nicki Minaj and Jay-Z primarily stems from a financial dispute over her equity stake in the music streaming service Tidal, combined with broader accusations against Jay-Z's business practices and the operations of his company Roc Nation. The origin of the conflict. The issue originated after Jay-Z sold a majority stake in Tidal to Jack Dorsey Square for over $300 million in 2021. Tidal equity in 2015. Minaj was one of the 15 artists who received a 3% equity stake in Tidal at its launch. According to reports, each artist partner should have received around $9 million from the sale. Now, Nicki Minaj's claim. Minaj has reportedly stated on social media that she was only offered $1 million for her share, which she refused. She has claimed that Jay-Z owes her between $100 and $200 million, referring to it as a karmic debt that is collecting interest. The unsigned paper.
Yeah. She has claimed that Jay-Z owes her between 100 and 200 million, referring to it as a karmic debt that is collecting interest. That's crazy. That's deep.
Allegation. A conflicting claim circulating suggests that Minaj never actually signed the final partnership papers and thus was not entitled to the full payout received by other artists who did sign the deal. Now, here's what I will say about Nicki Minaj, what I've learned in recent history with the lawsuit that she lost against an employee of hers who won a $500,000 settlement, and then she was ordered to put her house up to gain the money to pay off this settlement. $500,000. The house, I believe, was worth upwards of $20 million, and Minaj had a mortgage of around, I want to say $13 million, right? The video's on the channel, you can go check it out. But the reason I bring up that situation is because what that situation tells me is that Nicki Minaj is not good with contracts or money. So I kind of sided with Jay-Z in that whole situation, and her turning MAGA and this coming out, and now them allegedly coming after Jay-Z with his paperwork. Just, again, it all goes together a little bit too much for me. I'm going to pay very close attention to Kanye's redemption tour now, because the way this information hit the media is disturbing, right? This title here, this tagline here comes from a Hindu publication. Jay-Z in Epstein files, how Beyonce's husband, Pusha T, and Harvey Weinstein are linked, and allegations explained. Right? So now Beyonce's name is invoked in this.
Right.
Wow.
Damn. See how they do that? That's crazy. Jay-Z and Epstein files. How Beyonce's husband, Pusha T, and Harvey Weinstein are linked. Allegations explained. That's crazy.
And this is everywhere right now, right?
Right.
Because look, with everything that's going on across the country and in the on the world stage as well, with our foreign relations, with the midterm elections a month away, a month and a half away. It's going to be ramped up. There's going to be a lot of nonsense that we have to be very vigilant of. You have to remember that a lot of the accounts on the internet belong to non-U.S. citizens, people who don't know anything about any of these things, but are going to put a lot of dirt out there. Okay? A lot of the accounts are bots.
So powerful, man. And, it's funny how, like, with the Minneapolis situation, right? And we all, if it's all over. So I feel like, damn, they released all these files, all this work. They released all this work so that it could distract people from what happened in Minneapolis, bro, because that was wrong. You know what I mean? Wow, that just hit me. They released this shit because they want to distract you from their mistake in taking that guy's life. You know what I mean? That's crazy. That's deep. Let's keep going.
Are paid bad actors who are pretending to be one thing when they are indeed something totally different. Okay, when Elon Musk or when Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, when they revealed the locations of people, we found out that there are a lot of bot farms in specific countries who are pretending to be every demographic that's in the United States and stirring up trouble and controversy. on behalf of somebody. Who knows who those people are? I can't make any allegations, but if you see what's going on, you could probably figure it out, right? The narrative behind this, I see it already, is everybody has been waiting for this shoe to drop on Jay-Z, right? But the story is nonsensical at best
Right.
because whoever crafted
There's no evidence.
that story, whether it be and again, I'm not victim blaming. I have no idea where the story came from. It came from the FBI's tips line. Could be completely valid. I'm not invalidating the details.
Why would it drop with these files? Like, why they don't have nothing to do with the files. It's like they just threw these in there, like throw those in there too. You know what I mean? It's like, what the, that don't even make sense. Like, these could have dropped on their own, but they dropped the stories in with these files that they released, right? That's kind of crazy.
Oh, don't know. However, the details seem to be very surface level from a knowledge standpoint of hip hop and the two people who are named. Also, the timing of
Yeah, because think about Pusha T, bro. Pusha T really raps against all that stuff. You get what I'm saying? It just doesn't. I don't know. Pusha T, like, how could you feel comfortable rapping about all that and then you doing all that? Like, come on. I'm not sure. I mean, yay, man. I guess we have to keep watching the clip. Hit that like and subscribe, man. Appreciate y'all.
these two names being picked out of 3.5 million documents that have nothing to do with these two people originally, until their names are somehow found through somebody combing through 3.5 million documents right before the Grammys, when Pusha T's name would be at the forefront of the media anyway.
At the Grammys today. Grammys are tonight. And he's nominated for a few. Wow. What is going on?
Because of the clips being nominated for Grammys. We have to understand how people play for real in propaganda and in media. Because though you may not like Jay-Z, though you may not like Pusha T, your favorite artist could be next in something like this. I'm just saying, whether they did it or not, that's just the way things are right now as they stand. Now, if they did it, they need to be prosecuted and found, or whatever the legal punishment is, that needs to happen. If they did, if they haven't, they need more proof than this, in my opinion. For somebody who paid attention to these artists and lived through these time periods, the story doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't. But again, I wouldn't know. I'm not around. I wasn't there, right? None of us know. We weren't there. But these allegations are very interesting. I don't think it is beyond certain people to make something like this up completely. I don't think it's beyond. I don't think we can put it beyond people to falsify documents. Not right now, not currently. These people have shown that they have no regard for the rule of law, the Constitution, etc., etc. Keep it going. So when I see people say that the FBI didn't find these tips valid, that was at the time. Okay? The fact that they were released, and they were released with these documents for a reason. You have to understand that. You cannot put trust in that this is old information, old news, that they won't pick this back up in a new investigation. Not right now. Those kind of silly assumptions have to be out of the window right now. Pay attention to what's going on.
It's deep.
Okay, I know a lot of knucklehead people who voted for this, and they're quiet now. Now, most of them are quiet because I distanced myself because I just can't be around that, right? But one thing I do hope is that things like this get us to pay. It's time to pay attention and quit BS and quit the nonsense. Come down here to the real world and what's really going on out here. I've said that before, right? being fans and all of the entertainment, us having fun, that's one thing. This kind of thing though this is getting a little serious, in my opinion. Right? Time to quit playing a little bit. Because this is interesting. If this is not true, this is despicable. If it is true, it is also despicable.
100%.
We got to find out which one is which. So obviously Pusha T and Jay-Z will have.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, they're probably going to put out a statement, all that. But at the end of the day, like Professor Lex said, there's no wins in none of this. It's just because if you can make up a story, right? If it's not true, you can make up a story, and it's showing other people they can do that too, right? To get fame or money or whatever. It's crazy, right? That's what this world has come to. That's what times we're in right now. So you got to protect yourself, protect your energy, your family, and just, keep it cool. Be kind to people. It's really about that, man. Crazy the timing. The timing of this is nuts. Jay-Z runs the NFL stuff. Oh wow, I wouldn't be surprised if, man, that would be nuts. Cause look, the Super Bowl's coming up. Jay-Z runs a halftime show. Grammys are tonight. Clips are nominated for Grammys. Like, if this was all true, this would be picked up back then, right? You would think. But it seemed like a closed case. And yeah, man, I'm not sure. We wasn't around. Crazy knowledge. Crazy nonsense, excuse me. I'm burnt already. But yeah, with that being said, man, we're going to get out of here. Be happy, be healthy. Do what you got to do to survive, like Pac said. But also, man, be of service. Help somebody out today. I feel like that's why we really here on this earth. Is to be of service, man. So with that being said, we about to be out. Peace.